Welcome back. The Biden administration is loosening some key immigration restrictions before President-elect Trump takes office. The Department of Homeland Security reportedly launching an ICE portal app next month, allowing migrants in New York City to skip their in-person check-ins altogether at ICE offices. The app reportedly has had severe glitches, does not track migrants' locations, and does not check for past arrests or any outstanding warrants. Yes, this is the app that they want people to use. Meanwhile, ICE officials in Boston arrested 3 illegal immigrants, 2 of them charged with child rape. The arrests coming after Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey said that her state would not cooperate with President-elect Trump's deportation plans. Then there's Denver, and Denver's Sanctuary City Mayor Mike Johnston also vowing to combat Trump's immigration policy, saying that he will station Denver police at the county line to physically block Trump's immigration officers from entering the city. He also believes that tens of thousands of Denver residents would also block deportation efforts in a Tiananmen Square moment. So the Laken Riley murder and the horrific trial we all watched this week was not enough for them. Joining me now is Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. She's a member of the House Ways and Means and Small Business Committees. Congresswoman, your reaction?
Look, I have to ask, Mayor Mike, what kind of special stupid are you not to recognize what's happening in your city? That just down the street in Aurora, Colorado, you had an apartment complex that was taken over by these Venezuelan gang members who are in our country illegally. They were harassing, they were terrorizing the residents there. That look in my own city in Dallas, where you have, again, these Venezuelan gangs illegally here, these criminal illegal aliens who went into a woman's house. They kidnapped her in her garage, violently beat her, and they are in our country illegally. Look at what happened to Laken Riley, another Venezuelan criminal illegal alien in our country illegally. And you had to listen to her tape for 18 minutes, fight for her life as she's being brutally beaten and strangled and murdered. These are the kind of people that these mayors, that these governors in these sanctuary cities, these sanctuary states are protecting. And you got to ask the moms that he's telling us are going to be standing up. You're being targeted. Your kids are being targeted. They recognize that. And you just saw a massive mandate from this last election that these people are trying to tell their elected officials, you need to step up and you need to protect us. And if they don't recognize that, they're not going to get reelected.
I mean, I assume that they're talking about illegal migrants. While, yes, they broke the law to come into this country, but they're not the criminals. That, they have families here. They got married here, whatever. I mean, I assume, because it's hard to fathom that they want to protect murderers and rapists. But is there a way to... But that's exactly what they're doing, I know. So what about the Biden administration loosening the vetting? I mean, and this new app, this port that they don't even check for prior arrest, they don't even check for warrants. So, I mean, why is Joe Biden making the situation worse than we even knew, worse than we thought, as he walks out the door?
Yeah, that's the question I cannot answer. We have been fighting and railing and trying to draw attention to what's happened in the last 4 years, when you had nearly 20 million people illegally enter our country, where you were seeing crime rates rise. I can't imagine why he is doubling down now on this massive amount of destruction that they've caused, purposefully caused. These apps that they have that are letting people in, these sanctuary cities that are spending tax dollars, to purposely protect these criminal illegal aliens. And Tom Homan, man, I love the fact that he has been named the border czar. He's going to get in there. He's going to work with these mayors, these governors who are purposely ignoring the law. And then now they're trying to harbor illegals. And when you're targeting criminal illegal aliens and you're saying that your elected officials are going to use their law enforcement to fight federal law enforcement for enforcing laws, you got to start looking at people like Mayorkas and start charging them.
Yeah, I mean, what do you mean charging Mayorkas? I mean, they skipped the hearing yesterday. Yeah.
Well, they skipped it, but I mean, look, when you have that much destruction and damage caused to the American people by having these open border policies, by not protecting our borders, looking at what's happening with national security, somebody's head has got to roll. And we have already impeached in the House Mayorkas, but there are criminal charges that have to be labeled against these people for purposely causing this type of harm to Americans. We need to make an example, and it needs to be quick. But I cannot imagine that they're doubling down on these horrendous policies. And Tom Homan cannot come close enough, could not come fast enough. January 20th could not come fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, look, you and your colleagues already tried to impeach Mayorkas. You did impeach Mayorkas. You know, what did it do? It went nowhere. I mean, Caroline Downey, jump in here. It's just stunning to see what the Biden administration is doing on the way out the door.
Byron York put it very nicely, Maria and Congresswoman, that the border crisis was never an accident. It was intentional, and that's why he's loosening restrictions on the way out. But speaking of charges, I want to talk about Tom Homan, border czar, and how he said that these blue state cities and their mayors, as well as the governors, they actually could be prosecuted for obstructing federal immigration enforcement. You know, they're allowed to not cooperate with ICE, but they cannot block ICE, as the Denver mayor is proposing. So how, in your opinion, Congressman, is Tom Homan going to deal with these obstructionist mayors that want to create a fight?
It's a good question. Yep.
I think these obstructionist mayors are causing a fight because they want to get on the media. They want to have, you know, hits on their social media sites. I think when it actually comes down to it, if you're expecting your police officers, especially those who've had to respond, you know, in person to crime scenes, where criminals have actually raped children, have murdered women, you're going to have a really hard time getting your police officers to cooperate. And are you going to fire them because they're not willing to break the law, but they actually want to enforce the laws, which is what their job is? I think it is all, you know, they're all hat, no cattle, as we say in Texas. I don't think they're actually going to be able to do it. I think they're doing it just to be able to get some social media out.
All right. So you think this is all theater. And as we're watching this show play out, Congresswoman, a new caravan of at least 1,500 migrants has formed in southern Mexico this week. The migrants are hoping to cross into the United States before Trump takes office. Texas is expanding its border barrier made up of floating buoys. In anticipation of that surge, the state also offering 1,400 acres of land to stage Trump's mass deportation operation and build a facility for processing, detention, and coordination. The governor, Greg Abbott, was with me earlier in the week. Watch this.
This is going to be a very robust deportation program by the president. What they really want to do is make sure that they target all of the criminals who are inside our country, which is an extraordinarily large number, posing a danger to people in the United States. Get those criminals out. No, we have terrorists who came across the border who are walking around our country. We have to have an urgency to identify them, target them, and deport them. We also have to be equally successful at denying illegal entry.
So the governor of Texas certainly wanting to assist Trump in the plans. Congressman, your reaction to what Texas is doing?
I think Texas is again leading the way. We've got over 1.8, criminal illegal aliens alone in our state that need to be deported. And when we look at what the Biden-Harris administration has done, fighting the state of Texas for wanting to enforce its laws and wanting to protect its residents, it's great that we're going to have a partner in the White House, a partner in these cabinet positions that are willing to work with our state to be able to protect our residents. And, you know, Texas, again, is going to be partnering, is going to be working with fellow federal law enforcement. They're going to have the state law enforcement, and you're going to have a city, the city's working with them as well. And in Texas, we actually have a law preventing sanctuary cities from existing. It would be great if every governor across the country followed Texas's line in what we're doing there.
So just to underline the point, Jose Ibarra, the individual, the illegal migrant who this week was charged with life in prison for murdering Laken Riley, he came through the southern border. He went to New York, and then he was offered a flight to anywhere he wanted. He chose he wanted to go to Georgia. Is that right? Is that how it played out? He goes to Georgia, and he meets up with Laken Riley on the campus of the University of Georgia, and we know what happened next.
Yeah, no, and these criminals are being taken, by taxpayer expense on flights all across the country, and they're committing these kind of crimes. And the Biden administration had an opportunity to be able to deport them, but they're not even doing, as you mentioned earlier, they're not even looking at their backgrounds. They are releasing them over and over again into our country, where they are targeting our moms, they're targeting women, they're targeting children. How many more murders do we have to see?
Do you think that's why they skipped? Do you think that's why they skipped the hearing? Alejandro Mayorkas didn't show up for a hearing. He didn't want to be asked about Laken Riley.
It would absolutely appear so.
Yeah.
Would you want to be in there and having to face the music from these senators who are seeing what's happening, again, from people who have just had to listen to 18 minutes of a woman fighting for her life by a criminal illegal alien who should never be allowed in our country? All
right, Congressman, thank you. Beth Van Duyne, we're watching your work, of course. Thank you so much. We will see you soon. Quick break, and then the housing market.